The pestilence of Egypt will return at the second coming. The red dust of Mars will again cause sores, boils, and death. Just as Pharaoh hardened his heart against the power of God, so will man when faced with the same power and with the same deadly consequences. Jesus Christ repeatedly warned of great calamities that will strike the world at his latter-day return. Among these desolations will be a pestilence. When Moroni visited Joseph Smith 4 times in one night, on the second visit, the messenger repeated the Savior's warnings of great judgments that would come. Pestilence was one of them. These warnings were intended to inform righteous saints so they could prepare and survive. The pestilence will be a desolating sickness which will cover the earth, but the Lord's disciples will save themselves by standing in holy places. The Lord has repeatedly warned the saints that they would need to gather to holy places to protect themselves from what is coming, the harvest and burning of the world. The harvest refers to the gathering of the saints before the day of the Lord, when the field will be burned by the Lord's angels. The righteous must be first gathered and separated from the wicked, as the wheat is separated from the tares. They must be gathered to safe, holy places, apart from the field that is to be burned. The Apostle John saw the reaping of the earth in his apocalyptic vision. It is important for the saints to know what and where holy places are so they can find safety. To not know is to be at the mercy of the judgments of God and places the saints on the level of the rest of mankind. The modern church has defined holy places variously. One manual defines holy places as spiritual state instead of a physical location. A holy place is any place as long as one has the companionship of the Spirit. Elder Robert D. Hales believed that standing in holy places referred to unwavering obedience to the doctrines of the gospel.
My beloved priesthood brethren, young and old, let us glorify God's name by standing strong with our Savior, Jesus Christ. I bear my special witness that he lives and that we are called with a holy calling to participate in his work. Wherefore stand ye in holy places and be not moved. Standing obedient and strong on the doctrine of our God, we stand in holy places, for his doctrine is sacred and will not change in the social and political winds of our day. I declare, as did the Apostle Paul, watch ye, stand fast in the faith, behave like men, and be strong.
President Thomas S. Monson's definition of standing in holy places was similar to that of Elder Hales. Standing in holy places is standing firm in righteousness.
My beloved brothers and sisters, communication with our Father in heaven, including our prayers to him, his inspiration to us, is necessary in order for us to weather the storms and trials of life. The Lord invites us, draw near unto me, and I will draw near unto you. Seek me diligently, and ye shall find me. Close quote. As we do so, we will feel his Spirit in our lives, providing us the desire and the courage to stand strong and firm in righteousness, to stand in holy places and be not moved.
Unfortunately, these definitions miss the mark entirely. Holy places cannot be spiritual states of mind or patterns of behavior. They must actually be specific physical locations. Saints are commanded to gather to holy places and stand in them. Gathering requires a where. Moreover, these definitions have severed the connection with the original purpose of holy places: safety from the catastrophes that will come. Standing firm in righteousness or obeying commandments by themselves do not protect one from fierce lightning, famine, plague, and earthquakes. Besides, the Lord has already clearly defined holy places. In the Revelation where the Lord gave Joseph Smith his parable of the redemption of Zion, he told the prophet that the saints are to gather to holy places. They are to remain in these places, to stand until the Savior returns and burns the world with fervent heat. His holy places, where the saints are to be gathered, are to be called the stakes, for the curtains or strength of Zion. Holy places are physical places, appointed by the Lord himself, where the saints are to gather and then stand, meaning remain or abide. The church has redefined what the Lord has called holy places. Instead of refuges for the saints appointed by the Lord until the consumption has made a full end of all nations, holy places are not locations at all, but states of spiritual strength and moral uprightness. But to be fair, the church has designated some physical structures as holy places. The Church Handbook 2 declares that temples, chapels, and homes are holy places. Even so, the church has misunderstood the purpose of the Lord's holy places. Instead of providing refuge from the coming calamities, the church believes them to provide sanctuaries from the world and its evil. Nor is it the attendance of the Spirit that makes holy places holy. They are holy because they have been set apart from the world by the Lord as Zion. Implicit in the church's designation of chapels and temples as holy places is that these structures are sacred, having been dedicated to the Lord, and can, therefore, be defined as holy places. But what the church appears to forget or simply miss is that holy places are for the sole purpose of providing a gathering point for the saints. But if chapels and temples are truly holy places, then how are the saints to gather in them and then stand in them until the coming of the Lord? The dilemma for the genuine saints of God is this: where do they go to find holy places truly appointed by the Lord for their protection? If the present stakes of the church are not holy places appointed by the Lord, and the church handbook makes no such claim, then what is to be done? The Lord answered these questions in the same revelation He gave the parable of the redemption of Zion. He has all flesh in His hands, and He will save and comfort His people. The scourge of sickness and disease caused by the falling dust will be devastating and a never-ending vexation. The Lord will continue to scourge until the world is empty of its inhabitants. Isaiah saw the day when the earth would become empty, devoured by the curse and by fire. With the cleansing the earth of its human population, the nations of the world will effectively come to an end. The prophet Jeremiah foretold that the Lord would end all nations in the latter days and would save Israel. Even so, Jacob would be corrected and punished.